In the quaint town of Willowbrook, nestled between rolling hills and whispering woods, life moved at a leisurely pace. It was here that Emily Carter, a woman whose beauty was as captivating as the first blush of dawn, prepared to embark on what she believed would be the most joyous journey of her life: marriage. Her fiancé, Daniel Harper, was the epitome of charm and sophistication, his presence commanding yet comforting. Together, they were the talk of the town, their love story weaving dreams of fairy tale endings among the townsfolk. The wedding, scheduled for a crisp autumn morning, promised to be an event of grandeur and elegance, with every detail meticulously planned to perfection. Yet beneath this veneer of bliss, a storm brewed, unknown to all but one: the groom himself. As the sun set on the eve of her nuptials, casting long shadows over her anticipation, Emily's world was about to be irrevocably shattered. The following morning, the air was thick with an eerie silence, a stark contrast to the bustling preparations of the previous day. Emily, adorned in her pristine white gown, stood by the altar, her heart pounding with a mix of excitement and nervousness. Minutes turned into hours, yet Daniel did not appear. Panic began to ripple through the crowd as whispers of worry spread, like wildfire. It was then that a chilling discovery was made. A staged accident scene nearby suggested Daniel had met a tragic end. The evidence was damning, orchestrated to perfection to suggest a fatal mishap. Emily's world crumbled around her as reality hit. Her beloved was gone, leaving behind only questions and a void that no amount of mourning could fill. The betrayal, cut deeper than any blade, severing her trust and shattering her dreams into irreparable fragments. In the days that followed, Emily's grief transformed into a consuming darkness. She abandoned her once radiant self, cloaking her sorrow in a black wedding dress, a somber symbol of her eternal mourning and unyielding despair. This dramatic shift from bride to widow before the vows were even spoken marked the beginning of her descent into madness. Her home, once filled with laughter and light, now echoed with her solitary sobs and the haunting rustle of her mourning attire. Friends and family tried to console her, but their words fell on deaf ears, drowned out by the cacophony of her inner turmoil. Emily became a shadow of her former self, her eyes hollow and her spirit broken, wandering through the remnants of her life like a ghost, trapped in a world that no longer held meaning for her. One fateful evening, clad in her long, flowing black dress, Emily ventured down the grand staircase of her ancestral home, her mind clouded with thoughts of vengeance and despair. The house, dimly lit by the flickering flames of old oil lamps, cast eerie shadows that danced along the walls. As she descended, her foot caught on the hem of her dress, sending her tumbling uncontrollably down the steep flight of stairs. The sound of her body colliding with each step reverberated through the silent halls until she landed with a sickening thud at the bottom. Her head struck the hard marble floor, and the world around her faded into darkness. In that final moment, Emily's physical form succumbed to the injuries, but her soul, unwilling to accept the betrayal and abandonment she had suffered, refused to leave the earthly realm. Now a spectral figure, Emily's spirit roamed the corridors of her once beloved home, her presence a chilling reminder of the tragedy that unfolded. Driven by an insatiable thirst for revenge, she vowed to haunt the living, seeking out married men who she hoped might lead her to her treacherous husband and his lover. Her ethereal form glided silently through the night, her black dress trailing behind her like a dark cloud. Each encounter with a couple filled her with a twisted hope that perhaps this time she would find the ones who had wronged her so deeply. Her actions, born out of a desperate need for closure, began to sow fear among those who crossed her path as tales of a vengeful bride in black started to circulate through the town. As the legend of the bride in black grew, so too did the fear gripping the hearts of Willowbrook's residents. Couples began to avoid public gatherings, their celebrations muted by the looming threat of Emily's wrath. The local tavern, once a hub of joviality and mirth, now hosted whispered conversations about the spectral figure seen lurking in the shadows. Merchants reported strange occurrences, goods inexplicably rearranged, cold spots where none should exist, and an oppressive atmosphere that seemed to suffocate the very air. The town's clergy, overwhelmed by requests for blessings and protections, found themselves at a loss. No exorcism or prayer seemed potent enough to banish the vengeful spirit. Emily's relentless pursuit of her betrayers had transformed her into a harbinger of doom, her mere presence enough to instill terror in the stoutest of hearts. Among the many couples haunted by Emily's restless spirit was Mark and Sarah Thompson, a newlywed pair whose joyous union quickly turned sour under the weight of supernatural dread. One evening, while returning from a quiet dinner, they felt an inexplicable chill as they approached their cottage. Shadows danced eerily in their peripheral vision, and the familiar creak of their door opening without touch sent waves of panic through them. As they stepped inside, the temperature plummeted, and there she was, the bride in black. Her piercing gaze locked onto Mark, and with a chilling whisper, she accused him of being her lost husband. Before they could react, she lunged, her spectral hands reaching out, and just as suddenly as she appeared, she vanished, leaving behind a lingering sense of dread. Mark and Sarah, shaken to their core, knew they were not safe, and thus began their frantic search for answers and protection from the vengeful apparition. Desperate for a solution, Mark and Sarah sought the help of Professor Eleanor Rigby, a renowned expert in the paranormal who resided in the neighboring town. Known for her extensive research and numerous successful exorcisms, Professor Rigby listened intently to their harrowing tale. After a thorough investigation of their home and a review of historical records, she uncovered a pattern linking Emily's hauntings to significant anniversaries of her supposed death. Armed with this knowledge, Professor Rigby devised a plan to confront Emily's spirit on the upcoming anniversary, hoping to communicate and perhaps offer her the closure she desperately sought. The couple, though terrified, agreed to participate, clinging to the hope that this scholar could finally put an end to their nightmare. On the fateful night, the air was thick with tension as Mark, Sarah, and Professor Rigby gathered in the Thompsons' living room, surrounded by ancient texts and protective talismans. As the clock struck midnight, the room grew colder, and the lights flickered ominously. Suddenly, Emily appeared, her form more solid and menacing than ever before. Professor Rigby, undeterred, began to chant in a language older than time, her voice steady and commanding. Emily hesitated, her expression shifting from rage to confusion. Seizing the moment, Professor Rigby addressed her directly, acknowledging her pain and pledging to help uncover the truth about her husband's betrayal. For the first time, Emily's resolve wavered, and she listened, her spectral form shimmering with uncertainty. Encouraged by this breakthrough, Professor Rigby delved deeper into Emily's past, uncovering letters and documents hidden away in the archives of Willowbrook's library. These revealed that Daniel had not only faked his death, but had also manipulated Emily's family finances, leaving her destitute and isolated. With this new information, Professor Rigby arranged a séance, inviting Emily's spirit to witness the unveiling of these truths. As the revelations unfolded, Emily's anguish turned to fury, her cries echoing through the room. Yet, amidst the chaos, a glimmer of peace began to emerge. Understanding the full extent of Daniel's deceit, Emily's spirit seemed to find a semblance of closure, her form growing fainter with each passing moment. However, the path to true resolution was fraught with challenges. Emily's spirit, though momentarily pacified, remained tethered to the mortal plane by her unyielding desire for vengeance. Realizing that mere knowledge of Daniel's betrayal was insufficient, Professor Rigby proposed a daring plan to confront Daniel himself, who had been living under an assumed identity in a distant city. This risky endeavor required the cooperation of both the living and the dead, as they sought to bring Daniel face to face with the consequences of his actions. The journey was perilous, fraught with supernatural encounters and moral dilemmas, testing the limits of everyone involved. Yet, driven by a shared goal, they pressed on, determined to free Emily's spirit from its torment. The confrontation took place in a dimly lit alleyway, where Daniel, now a shadow of his former self, was cornered by the group. Emily's spirit materialized beside him, her presence overwhelming and accusatory. Daniel, confronted with the spectral visage of his betrayed fiancée, broke down, confessing his sins and begging for forgiveness. It was a moment of raw emotion, as years of guilt and fear poured out of him. Emily, witnessing his genuine remorse, hesitated, her anger wavering. In that pivotal instant, Professor Rigby urged her to let go, to release the chains of hatred binding her to this world. With a final, heart-wrenching scream, Emily's spirit dissipated, ascending towards a light that promised peace and redemption. With Emily's spirit finally at rest, the town of Willowbrook began to heal. The oppressive atmosphere lifted, replaced by a renewed sense of community and hope. Mark and Sarah, having survived their ordeal, emerged stronger, their bond fortified by the trials they had faced together. They became advocates for others dealing with similar supernatural disturbances, sharing their story to help those in need. Meanwhile, Professor Rigby continued her work, inspired by the profound impact of her success with Emily. Her research expanded, delving deeper into the mysteries of the afterlife and the human psyche, driven by a newfound purpose to aid those caught between worlds. Yet, as the town celebrated its return to normalcy, whispers of another haunting began to surface. Reports trickled in of a mysterious figure seen near the old cemetery, a silhouette draped in black, watching silently from the shadows. At first dismissed as mere superstition, these sightings grew more frequent, sparking unease among the townsfolk. The figure bore an uncanny resemblance to Emily, raising fears that her spirit might not be as at peace as they had hoped. Determined to prevent history from repeating itself, Mark and Sarah, alongside Professor Rigby, embarked on a new investigation, driven by a sense of duty to protect their community from whatever darkness loomed on the horizon. Their investigation led them to uncover a startling revelation. Emily's spirit had indeed returned, but not out of malice. Instead, she had been drawn back by a powerful force, an unresolved energy emanating from the graves of those who had died tragically and unjustly. This discovery opened up a broader understanding of the supernatural dynamics at play in Willowbrook. Emily, now more lucid and communicative, explained that her return was involuntary, compelled by the collective unrest of other spirits. Together, they realized that to truly lay Emily to rest, they needed to address the root cause of this spiritual unrest, embarking on a mission to bring peace to all the tormented souls trapped in limbo. This new quest proved to be as challenging as the last, requiring not only courage but also compassion and empathy. The team worked tirelessly, conducting rituals and ceremonies aimed at soothing the aggrieved spirits. They reached out to descendants of the deceased, urging them to acknowledge and honor their ancestors' memories. Slowly, the town began to transform as families came together to heal old wounds and pay respects to those long forgotten. Emily, observing these efforts, found solace in the communal healing, her own spirit growing lighter with each resolved case. It was a testament to the power of unity and forgiveness, themes that resonated deeply with everyone involved as the final spirits found peace. Emily stood on the brink of her ultimate departure. The town gathered one last time, not in fear, but in gratitude and respect for the lessons learned. Emily, now a symbol of resilience and redemption, addressed the crowd, her voice a gentle whisper carried by the wind. She thanked them for their efforts and expressed her readiness to move on, promising to watch over Willowbrook as a guardian spirit. With a serene smile, she ascended, her form dissolving into the morning mist, leaving behind a legacy of transformation and hope. The town, forever changed, vowed to keep her memory alive, ensuring that her story would inspire future generations. The aftermath of Emily's final departure brought a profound sense of renewal to Willowbrook. The town flourished, its people united by shared experiences and strengthened bonds. Mark and Sarah, now local heroes, continued to support those affected by supernatural phenomena, their lives enriched by the extraordinary events they had witnessed. Professor Rigby, inspired by the success of her endeavors, published her findings, contributing valuable insights to the field of paranormal studies. Her work sparked interest worldwide, drawing researchers and enthusiasts eager to explore the mysteries she had unveiled. The legacy of Emily's haunting served as a catalyst for change, turning a tale of tragedy into one of triumph and enlightenment.